Yeah, good morning and good evening, everyone. Today, we have doing the session from last 2 weeks, 3 weeks for the bootcamp of Agentic AIs. So today we are discuss on the final the session of the how the agents could be deployed and how we will monitor in the real time of this agent's behavior and how to evaluate, because this is something which is very crucial role in the industry, right? As we develop the tools, but how confidently we say that the tools are performing as expectedly. So this is where today we are going to discuss on how to deploy the AI agents and what are the frameworks we use. Along with that, we are going to do some CI/CD pipeline, like continuous installation and continuous deployment. Then we are going to do a couple of Azure-based and Amazon-based clouds as well on this today's session. So just we'll go with this agenda. So this is what is agentic AI and frameworks of agentic AIs, and how to evaluate agentic AI and deployment of CI/CD. Okay. So if you have any messages in between, please feel free to message in the chat room so that we will try to address you once the session is completed. So as everyone knows, GenAI is one of the popular technology in the AI. Like in earlier, we are using machine learning and deep learning. So now most of the industries, they have shifted to the LLMs. So before agentic AI, the LLMs is the crucial role as a Gen AI, right? Like last 3 or 2.5 years, which we are seeing from the chat GPT and the Google Bard and everything, the applications which are implemented with the large language models. So how generally these large language models which works, like, and as we see in the chat GPT, right, where we have the user interface, like in where we will be having the website, and will provide us some message, or we'll type the query, then it will provide the content information. It's by providing the code or by getting of the topic information, or like in a topic conclusion for the given text informations. So based on the input user query, so the input query will be sent to the LLM based applications, where you will be having the prompt and set of tools and memories, and then we'll get the final output response. This is how general the LLM based applications which looks. Okay, there where you will be having the LLMs, like in a if you go with the Azure based GPTs, like in where you will be having a GPT-4, GPT-4o, GPT 3.5, and along with that, if we working with the Amazon Bedrock services, they have their own foundation models as well. Like in we can say that Cloud Sonnet V1, V2, V7, and the Haiku, Amazon Nova X, Titan embeddings. Okay, there are various foundation models which we have. Depends upon based on the requirements of the organizations, we choose the specified model. And whilst choosing the specified model also, we'll think about the what is the cost effective, and how soon we can integrate with our existing application as well. So there are the multiple factors which we'll consider, and will decide which foundation models need to choose. Okay, so that models we're going to look at it today as well. I'm going to show you everything with the Amazon Bedrock services, like in how to choose the models and everything. Okay. So now this is the basic from last 2 years, the GenAI applications which we are doing. Okay. Now from last 6 months, we are hearing the agents. What is mean by agents? Agents is something, it's kind of replica of humans itself. Like in how humans take the actions, how human decide that, like what step need to be taken for based on this particular event or particular the problem. Okay, so how the human can take up this the judgment or like an action, the similarly we are trying to replicate with the software application, that's we call as a AI agents. Okay, so here also similarly, where we will having the input user query, then we will integrate with the LLM foundation models. Then there will be having a set of like in a memory, data source, and tools and everything. But each and every tool will have specific roles. So these tools will be decided by which agentic framework or which agent need to be which need to be picked up. Consider you are working for the organization. In an organization, there is a team where they are handling the customer, they are addressing the customer issues. Okay, so in a group, just consider in an organization there will be not a one single person, right? There are the group of the people who will work for the particular problem. So they will take up all the calls and they will try to address for the solution. So this is where if the person it is not able to resolve, then it is going to the senior management, like in one upper level of the senior associate. So similarly, if particular the query if we receive from the caller, okay, customer care center, so which agent need to be picked up, which person it has to be routed this particular call to address the particular issue. This is where the tools will come. So this is where the tools will decide which person has to be rerouted to this particular the call for the customer. Okay, so this is how the agents come. So there are multiple agents. Okay, each agent will work on the different set of issues. So one agent will be the more superior than the another agent, and some other agents will work for some specific domains, and the other agent will work on another specific domain. So but these all the agents are working for in a single organization or single platform or single domain nature. Okay, so but it is all connected with the interlinked with the one agent with the another agent to get the final solution. This is where the agentic AI pictures is coming to the market, and many of the industry they wanted to switch for this agentic based framework so that they can get the more accurate results, more accurate response. Like, and how we go with the if the problem is not resolved with the general associate, we go with the senior associate. So this is where the information. So the lack of information from the general associate, we are going with the senior associate, where we will get the complete information of our product, or kind of if we booked for some ticket, so what was the refund amount and everything, the details will be available for the particular superior agent. Similarly, here also we are going to connect with the multiple data sources so that our agents will be more stronger to provide the response for the user input query. Okay, so today, so we are going to discuss not only focusing with the evaluation of the agent, we are going to discuss from the beginning to end of the how agents will be looks and how agents will be designed in the code level, and how to run those agents, and as a AI engineer, what kind of the struggles you will going to be faced, like in when you're working with the agents, or like in developing with the agentic frameworks. Okay, so this is about the LLM based applications and through agents. Okay, as we see the previous slide, so we only see that like in a we have LLMs, and then we'll get the final output response with a single tool, single prompt. But with the agents, we will be having a multiple tools or multiple agents, which can be said that. Okay, and so this is the smaller difference between the general AI based applications and agentic based applications. Let's jump into the next slide. So as we see that, what are agents? Like, and as I discussed you, agents is nothing but the task which is going to be automated, which is like in a, how the human will take the decision, or how human will control the particular situations. The similarly, which we are replicating with the agentics frameworks. So this is where we call as a agents. Okay, so it's all about, as you can see, the simple like in a working with a smarter team. Simply, you are working in the nature of the team, where you will be having the set of people who are trying to address this particular issues on from the department, considering the HR department or financial department, any department. So each department will have the multiple persons who will try to address for this. Okay, so this is where we are trying to replicating with the software system. So this is we call as an agentic software assistant system. So how we will build these agents? So many of them will have any doubts, right? Saying when I'm saying that, okay, we are talking about the agents and everything. So the architecture will look like the router. Okay, the router means like when the user provide the input, so there will be called as a router information. So there are three main components which we generally use to develop the any agentic AI applications. Okay, to build any agentic AI applications, we use three primary components. One is router, another one is a skills, and another one is a memory and state. So each and every component will play the crucial role to address the particular user query. Okay, so the router, which is the superior, or you can call the Superman. Okay, so the Superman, the is a router where he will decide that which skill has to pick up based on the provided user query. Consider, so you want to have some sales data for the Newark location. So the router has to decide, okay, so this is connecting to the database for the sales data of the particular location, sales data table, which will be connected and which has to be get the information. That is what router will do. So here, if you see the skills, there are three questions: track package, lookup item, and answer the question. These are the three skill sets which we can say that as a router is connected. Okay, so the router will decide based upon the given question which skill set it has to be pointed. It's all about, like, general, if you see the customer care centers, like a name, when we call, when we make a calls to the customer support, what they do, the central system which will decided the based on the particular problem which like in a department need to be routed. That is we call as a router. Central department we call as a router here. So the skills is nothing but the various departments. So if I want have any some solution on the some my credit card, but if I connected with the loan department, so then there is no point of connecting the loan department, right, where you will get the solution for that. So this is where the router will decide that, so which is the right department based on the user input query. Because I'm requesting for it, I have some issue with my credit card. It's supposed to be routed to the credit card team, so not with the loan team. So this is where the router will decide based on the input query which skill set which has to be decided. Okay, and whenever it requests the response from the user, or it respond the user query information as an output, it will hold the information of the context, because the previous interaction which is happened by the user and the organization, which has to be maintained, because that will give more context to the agents to address the particular issues. Okay, this particular issue is considering talking about the credit card department. So inside, like, all the conversations will be saved into the memory state, so that the agents can pick up the right router to address these issues. Okay, so this is where the router and states and the skill set, which is the three major components which we'll use in the agentic AI platform. To build any agentic solutions, we use these three main components. So for, like, and as we are seeing these three components, these three components will be the similar for you to pick up any frameworks. Like, generally for a machine learning, to develop any traditional based AI algorithm or AI applications, we go with the scikit-learn. So to implement that, if you wanted to do with the neural network, we go with the TensorFlow or PyTorch. Now if you wanted to go with the generative AI, we go with the LangChain or Llama. Now, if to implement this agentic applications, you have to choose with either LangGraph, either the CrewAI, either the AutoGen AI. So these are the three major components, major frameworks which we use to implement the agentic AI applications with the help of the components of router, skills, memory, and state. Okay. If you have anyone have any doubts, I will pause for a moment. You can will unmute and will discuss for a moment.
Yeah, sure, Plata. Please let us know. If you raise your hand, you can ask your questions. We can unmute you.
I know this is the new concept. Many people will have like any queries. So please feel free to ask us. So we will try to address as many as questions before I jumping to the other, because this session is combined from the beginning of the agentic AI, and then we are to deploying and everything. I think one of the Surya has raised the hand. So could you please unmute Surya for a moment?
Yeah. I unmuted him.
Yes, Surya, go ahead.
Who is this speak like? Yeah, with respect to the context, right, that there will be a communication between the user input and the router.
Mm-hmm.
And the decision making, all these things will be stored in the context you mentioned, right? Where is the
Yes.
context here?
The context is nothing but the memory state. So memory
Oh,
management is a one of the object which holds the context information, which holds the previous user information.
okay.
So I will show you in the code as well, like in how to implement this step-by-step skill sets as well. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, this is Sridhar. Actually, so this router is also a tool to code, or it's
It's a through
inbuilt?
code only. It's through code only we are going to import. As
Oh,
we
to the
general
code.
implement with the Python programming, if you wanted to go with the class-based approach where we go with the constructor, then follow with the methods, right? Similarly, to develop the any agentic framework, we go with the router itself. So router will have the complete controlness of the skill sets, like in which skill set which has to picked up for this particular user input. Like consider it's in a central hub or like in a central IT department team where it will address for various issues, right? So that's how the
Mhm.
routers will works here. I will show you as well how to integrate the skills and everything coming slides.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Keshav or
Yeah, Keshav is here.
yeah, Keshav. Go ahead.
So, yeah, so can you please come again? Means, what are the component are you using here?
See the components. See, first to implement these components, we need to decide the frameworks which need to be picked up. See, based on the organization, based on that, like in their availability, they go with the either LangGraph. If it is in a larger agentic applications you want to build, like larger kind of software system you wanted to build with, generally we go with the LangGraph because LangGraph having the much more compatibility to integrate with your uh, the specific applications or like in specific other applications which you use, so that application can be integrated with the LangGraph for any complex systems. So you have a multiple, like you have a much flexibility to integrate your other external sources. And there will be the another agentic framework called CrewAI as well. If you want to go with this smaller based the components or smaller based applications, then you can just go with the CrewAI. Another one with the AutoGen. These are the three frameworks. These three frameworks which will use this component structure only, which use this architecture, routers, skills, and memory and state.
Okay. One is LangGraph, then CrewAI and AutoGen.
AutoGen.
Okay, these are the three framework, right?
Frameworks, yes. Like you use the machine learning, right, to implement the traditional algorithms. We use the scikit-learn algorithm, scikit-learn framework for implementing the linear regression or it's a classification regression. For agentic AI applications, we go with the LangGraph for CrewAI and AutoGen.
Okay.
So these are the major three frameworks which use. There are multiple frameworks we have, but majority of the organization they focus with these three only because these are orchestrations and the kind of security level and implementation based, easier and effective solution. That's why we always prefer with these three frameworks only. Okay, I think I have everything done. Let's go back to the slide now, because I just wanted to be this session to be more interactive so that we can cover up end to end of the system. So just a moment. Yeah. So considering like as we see the router and with the higher level of image, right? So here, if you see that the example of considering the chart bar system or something, the user will request the some the query with this is credit card. So that will be connected with the router. Router will having the controlness of foundation models, like in a foundation models, as I said, GPT-4 or GPT-4o or GPT-4o mini, or if the organization wanted to integrate with the Amazon Bedrock services as a Cloud SONET V1 or V2 or V7 or now Amazon Nova or Amazon Haiku, it's all depend upon the organization which you are going to work with that. So this models will be picked up and will be added to here. So example, as you see, if you go with the Amazon Bedrock services, so this is I'm going to show you in the AWS services. Okay, so where some of the organization they use with the AWS cloud systems. So here is Amazon Bedrock services. So this is how I'm showing you the router, like in how to configure the router. First, we need to get the credentials. We need to get the service in our access. So here you see the model catalog. So in the inside the model catalog, so you will find all the various foundation models which is provided by this particular cloud services. Okay. So Cloud Sonnet V4 and Opus, Nova Pro, Cloud A, you can see that there are multiple things which we have. These are all based and anthropic based, and you will be see the DeepSeek as well. So let's go with the one such model inside, so we can see more here. Yeah, Cloud Sonnet V4 we'll see. So once you click that, so you will get a complete information about what is this model and what kind of the features it works. Like, and as you see that text and vision. Text and vision means for the particular queries related to the text and any kind of image-based applications, we can use this Cloud Sonnet V4. Okay, this is how the integration of the thing as well. All the model ID and everything will be integrated. So if you look at in the code level, so those model ID and model credentials will be picked up and it will be integrated with your code like this. Okay. So this is how it will be implemented with your existing codes or to developing any application. So first you need to get the activation or you need to get the access based on that. Like if you're working with some architecture or some centralized IT team where you will raise this access to get the particular the model configuration. Okay, so like you see that many kind of even for the embedding models also, which you can see that where you need to convert the text to the numerical features. So this foundation model will help you to configure as well. So you can see the Cloud 3.0 net 7, so which is more richer in contextually learning, and it will provide the more the accurate results which we see that. So today we are going to see that the comparison of the foundation models also, how we do in the industrial level. So this is how we pick up the models. Let's go back. So this is where you, I hope you got it, like and how will we do that. So router and everything. Yeah, this router will have the configuration of the foundation models. So then we will be having the skill set, like, and as I told you that suppose I need to get the sales data of the particular XYZ location, right? So what it do, it will connect it to the sales data tool and it will try to get the information. Now user will have a different question now. Okay, hey, can you provide me the insights of this particular data? So if user asks, if provide me the insights of the data means like of the particular New York sales location, so it has to pick up the data, then it has to do the some data analysis on the data which is picked by the agent, then it will provide the insights. Okay, so these data which I am saying that for the New York last 1 week or last 3 months of the data, for this particular XYZ product, we have the higher sale. But this the Z product, Z product, which is having the lesser sales, like with this particular weekdays or with the weekends. Okay, so these are the kind of analysis information which is done by the data analysis tool. Okay, so this is we call a one more skill set. Like, and as we see that, so there are 3 skill set and 1 router which has been developed. So one skill set will be the one skill set which we call as a one agent. So agent 1 is for sales data tool, so to connecting the database. Another agent, the agent 2, which will be work for the data analysis, means which it will extract the data and it will process, like in how we generally do the exploratory data analysis, right? In the where we use the pandas or like with the Power BI or like in a tabular, which will connect with the data and we do the some of the statistical analysis to understand the behavior of the data, right? So that everything will be worked by the agents itself. So this is where we are going to use the second agent. Then the user will have one more interest. See, you always have to think in the one step the higher stance, because if you're working with some business stakeholders, or if you're working, if you're directly reporting with your CEO, or like the director of the organization, then your the kind of like the user queries and the thinking of the ideology, it will be the a higher level. So because as the when we're working with the higher the stakeholders, they want just like hey, can you provide me the data inside with the visualization, because they don't want to see that like what was the numbers are presented, right? By looking at the graphs, they can understood that for the, because if I say that for one Newark location, it's okay. What about if I wanted to see for 50 location what was the sales of my product? So with this number, which we cannot understand, we cannot be memorized, right? So this is where the one more agent which comes in the visually tool, visual based approach. Okay, this is where it will collect the data, it will analyze the data, and it will provide the visualization based report, where you can see the images like in bar graph, pie charts, like in a you know various kinds of like in a the charts which will be presented by the agent, so that the stakeholders can easily understand, okay, this is what is happening with our products. So where we have to where we have to focus, and which location we need to focus. So this is something which will look up on the stakeholder side as well. When we develop any application, we need to think on that, for the end user, how easy to we can understand. So we need to expect, we need to identify all the corner scenario cases to create the agentic application. So this is where considering three applications, where if the user wanted to see the data of their sales of their product, so one is the agent will be the database, it's connecting this the database, the as a sales, or like in a kind of any the tables which will available in the particular database, it will connect it to the database, and then it will analyze the data analysis tool, where the no one will the human will know, there is no point of the human where you can execute the code. It's simply like we are handling the agents with to execute the code, with to execute the codes in the automated itself. So there is no person will be sit on the system and where you can run the code on the generated data. Simply it is directly it will be triggered. So that is where the data analysis tool which will be exhibited and the based on the Python language, or like in a Java, or it might be any language which is added by here. Okay, then if we wanted to generate any images as well, so it will backend we will configure some beautiful frameworks like an Seaborn or Plotly, or some other kind of interesting tools also which can be added. So with through the Power BI or tools also which will be connected, and which can be directly get up those image the graphs, and we can present it in the user interface platform. So this is how generally we do that. Okay, where you get the generate it will generate the SQL query. With the SQL query, it will get the data, then do the general it will do the analysis, what kind of the information, then analysis information can be presented with the chart bot based configuration with the images. Okay, so as we are seeing only three tools, like in a three agents, but in a organization level, like in a we'll have more than 10 to 15 agents to build some complex AI system which can replicate entire the manual process can be automated. Okay, so what is the agent? That's the one which we're discussing right here. Which store had the most sales in 2021? Okay, so the user has given the query here. So as soon as they receive the query, will the router will identify that, okay, this particular informations which first we need to get the data on the sales data tool. Okay, so it is triggered the particular agent one as a sales data tool, then it is analyze the tool and it will provide the response to the user. Okay, look at the question. Okay, based on the question, the router is identifying which agent need to be picked up to provide this particular solution. Okay, once the particular agent the solution is completed, then that particular the information which is stored in the memory, that memory information will be passed to the second agent as a data analysis tool here. Okay, then another interesting question, if you see that, hey, could you plot daily sales volume over a time? So if you see that means your user is expecting in the information in the plot based option, plots based futures of their sales value. So here the above question just see want only the sales information. So that's why only the two agents has been triggered. But the second, the question where the user is expecting information in the base of plot as well. So this is where first is the router will connect to the database and collect the data of the particular sales for the time period. Then again the router will identify this, again in the router will identify the user to this is the data visualization. So that data tool will be connected to the data visualization tool and it will send the information. So it's all about calling the LLM call, and along with that that code will be triggered with the automatically like with the automation based where we use the execute as a command to perform this code without the human to be rerun the particular coding process. So everything will be taken care by this agents as well. So this is how the agents will work on the real time approaches where we can see that. Yes. So first, as I see that comments is like this, the skill will be reflect to the router. It will respond back to the router. Yes, the first the skills what it do, it will get the information. It will send to the router, and it will at the same time it will configure to the memory information as well as a memory object as well. So based on that, the final information will be combined together with the memory, and then the router will decide okay what information could be we can send it to the user. So that's where the final information can be taken, decision can be taken by the router. So now consider everything is good like this the agents we have created, and we have think of that if for a given question I'm able to get the right information. Okay, so everything is fine. Now think of that in a production environment or in a real time situation. We cannot expect the 100% of accuracy, right, where the agents can perform 100% accuracy also. Sometimes it won't perform for such from some corner scenarios question as well. So then how do we identify that, how do we handle those cases also, which is very very important for this agentic behaviors. So this is where the new slide, the next this slide, what could go wrong with agent based system. See, because just consider you have created the team, okay, and you have assigned there some tasks to your interns, but you're not see you are assigning the task, but you are not validating or you're not verifying that the particular assigned work which is performed as expectedly or not, right? So we are giving of the work and everything which is done, but as we need to verify that, right, as a team member, as in a team leader, you have to verify that your team is providing the accurate information to the customer or not. If the users are not satisfied or if the customers are not satisfied, then there is no point of keeping of those peoples, right? This is where we need to identify that, okay, what kind of the response we are providing with the agents as well. So this is where, because one mislead information will make the complete the user, the customer can take of that the complete it will kind of leading the mislead, or it kind of getting the negative impression for the our products as well. So this will affect on the sales wise as well. So this is where we have to important very crucial roles on identifying these agents as well. So going back to the slide, as we are seeing that here, could you plot a daily sales volume over a time? We are saying that this is instead of connecting to the sales data tool, if it is directly connected to the financial, instead of sales, it is connected to the financial table. Then consider that entire the response which is provided by the agents, which is completely incorrect. This is where we are talking about how do we identify what, how we could be trace those kind of the issues, whether the agent is providing the accurate information or not, whether the router is connecting to the right skill set agent or not. So this is where very very important, right? If instead of connecting the sales data tool, if it is connecting for the other skill set, then entire the results will be different. So we need to see that even if it is connected to the right skill set, but it is unable to pick up the solution, then that is also one of the issue of this our agents. We can say that our agent is not working as expectedly. So here we need to see that in the completely like in how our agents are providing the solution as well. So here you see that the wrong answer without coordination, it's in a kind of very harmful for these answers, like an entire the product the kind of informations will be misleads. So, and along with that, one more issue we generally see in the agent or agentic applications or Gen A based application. Sometimes this LLM will hallucinate the information as well. See, if I ask like, can you provide the sales information, then it will provide the sales information which is learned in the foundation, like when the initial training of the model which is built. So from that, it will provide the information. If that information is not presented in our data source, then it will take off what it had learned previously. From that, it will provide the information. So this is also which mislead the user output as well. So here I see that like so we need to be very careful that like as hallucinations should be overcome here as well. Like it should not consider which is not, if the information is not relevant to that, it should be strict with I don't have any sufficient information. Could you allow for some time, or else like so instead of like this is the information which is need to be provided by the agent if the sufficient information not provided. Okay, if it is provided some other external information means which is we call as a hallucination. Okay, and what is solution for this? Like, and I see some of the comments like, and what is the solution for this? So how do we overcome these hallucinations and everything means like providing the few short examples like for these questions, and providing the clearly providing clearly instruction to the prompt saying that if the information is not presented in our existing source, or if the information is not presented as for our the context, then you provide a sufficient information is not available, written as unavailable or something like that. Okay, so do not hallucinate and do not provide any information. So these are the kind of simple instructions which will be added to the prompt. Okay, so example I will show you in the real time how will we handle as well. So if you see in the prompt, one second, the prompt template is very bigger, that's why you're unable to see. Let just allow me for a moment so that I will show you in the clearly how the prompt will looks. Yeah, it's too big, just give me, I think, yeah, this will be little shorter. Yeah, here you see that. See, identifying the seriousness criteria case indicates the cause of the prolonging of hospitalization based only if it is selected in your text or is not selected. Okay, output rules, if it is selected, written yes. If it is not selected, written as a no. Okay, and sometimes how the text is provides like in which you are verifying. If there is, if we won't see that is selected or is not selected in our text, okay, it should be written as a unavailable. Okay, this is where we are clearly indicating that if the information is not presented, you should provide the written unavailable instead of taking off some hallucination. And sometimes we provide clearly as well, like in a where how it will be has to there. Second. Yeah, do not include any plain text and everything. Yeah, you can see here, do not include any plain text from the extracted data in the final output, and the must output are always must should be written either with this x and yz, and output should be strictly with this either only. Okay, if the alone information not confirm the response, what to be, it has to be responded. So we clearly mentions here in the prompt, like what to pick and what not to pick, and if the information is not presented, how to act as well, how to take the action as well. Okay, so it's all about how you are providing the prompt. Even you can see here, so you are in a kind of the information, you should be strict with the, you are validating the scores or validating evaluation information and everything. Okay, this is how your prompt will be look like. So you should be very careful while you're changing one line of word or one line of code. The prompt information will impact your results as well, so that we are going to discuss in upcoming slide as well. But this is, I just wanted to show you. Okay, so this is how we shown in the prompts. Okay, so hallucination information and everything will be handled here itself. Then coming back to thing, yeah, this is one where we are saying that, right? So we are talking about that, what we do if the agents will not identify, if the agent is not provided the right solution. So this is where we are going to identify before we are making the production system. We will identify in the internally how systems are identifying the right results or not. Okay, this is where the steps will come, the agentic agent evaluation system. Okay, so how we do the evaluation, because we already have performed in the evaluations, right? Even for the machine learning, where we use the accuracy scores and recall like an F1 scores and precisions. Okay, with the ME and the mean absolute error or root mean squared error. With this, we are trying to evaluate our model performances, right? So now, how will we do in the agent based evaluation? Because sometimes user will ask the question, hey, can you summarize this whole information, or can you summarize this meeting note? So when it is summarizing the meeting note, it will understand the information and it will regenerate the some other words, but these words will be closer with what we discussed in the meeting. So the contextually will aligned, but the wording nature of the word will be the different. Okay, so this is where some roach and below scores will become, or semantics analysis will be comes into the picture to identify this evaluation process. Okay, so considering just if you're considering the LLM model, like as we see in the router, right, where the router we have integrated with the foundation models. The foundation models is nothing but the GPT-4 or 4. How will we say that how these models are well versed, have learned actually? So this is where we will comes in the picture, right? Choosing the particular foundation models also, which will be very important. So how will we evaluate these foundation models as well? Because many of the cloud sources, they will come up with that, a this foundation models which is working, the more the better compared to the other existing models in the market. Okay, so these Amazons will come, Amazon people will come, and Azure people will come. So you people can use our model, so that our models is evaluated with the various benchmark data sets. So we are able to get that 92 or 94 95% of accuracy with this kind of benchmark data sets. So how they do that? So like in the LLM models, they find out the benchmark data sets, and they will evaluate with the LLM for the foundation model. So this is where general LLM model evaluation will happen. Now coming to the entire enterprise system, if you are working for the entire enterprise system, so it is a combination of each and every agent. Okay, there will be the multiple foundation models will be there, right? Each foundation models will connect it to the one skill set. So all the skill set will be connected with the router. So then when we are evaluating with the enterprise level architecture, so that practice we call as a LLM system evaluation. Okay, entire applications including with the LLMs and performs and complete the business requirement will be done on the testing data set. How will we create this testing data set? This testing data set, before we are creating the testing data set, we will have some clear idea about this application, right? As you are working for some XYZ organization, your organization wanted to develop some AI based application for addressing the some issues, right? So you know the some business context. So when we know the business concept, then we'll prepare the data accordingly, right? So if this is for the HR related queries to address, then we'll find out what are the various the HR queries we can get from the employees perspective. Like they're facing of, they got the salary is very less, or they have deduction is very high and at last month, or like they're kind of the tax information is like a tax deduction is too high, or like they wanted to know some maternity leave for their the maternity leave, or they wanted to know the parental leave, or they wanted to see that how many sick leaves will be there, so what is the loss of pay. So there will be the various type of questions will be come up, okay? Or sometimes the people the employees will expect that they want some, they want to file for any tax, so they want some invoices, or they want some form 16 documents, okay? So each and every query will be addressed by some specific department, right? All the issues cannot be addressed by the HR team itself. So in a organization there will be the multiple departments where they will address this kind of use cases. So everyone knows that ADP payroll applications where we'll be having where they will be we will raise query. This particular query will be routed to the particular department and will get the solution related to the your payroll, or kind of your invoice, or like in a form 16s, or any kind of other documents as well, okay? So now this is what the kind of system based evaluation. So it's not a model, it is an entire your application which you are trying to evaluate, okay? So now based on this particular queries, we are going to prepare a data set that's we call as a testing data set. So we are going to have a training data set and testing data. Here we are not training any model here. So just it's like an entire the data you can consider as a testing data set only. So you are going to test when you are passing this particular queries through the system application, agentic application. So how you are able to, how you are getting the response, whether it is pointing to the right agent, or if it is providing the as expected information, or like an incorrect information it is providing, which we are going to evaluate. Okay, so this all thing which can be done with the real world data only. So how will we do? I will show you. So I was working for one of the data, so which you can see that there are multiple files, and we are trying to get the various information through the LLMs, okay? So through these agentics, so here we are going to find out the particular fields from the given text and what could be the data. So this is where this information, and how confident you are saying that this extracted data is correct. Okay, this 90 or 70, 60 or 80, 0 to 100% will be there. Okay, so you can see the cost and everything. So how much token cost it is happened, total cost is, you can see that, and total input tokens which is taken. So when it is calculating the cost, it is taken with the input tokens and output tokens. So the cost will be the different for both input tokens and output tokens. Generally input tokens cost will be lesser, the output token cost will be little higher, okay? So then we'll combine all together and we'll take up the final total cost, like as you see here, calculating the cost. I will show you how to calculate the cost as well, so that's why I'm just checking. Okay, let's go back here. Just give me a moment. I'm just checking the cost one. Yeah, combined files. So here you can see that if I sending the one file, like and how much cost it is coming and everything. So while you're implementing these particular foundation models, like in the router, like and as I told you that GPT-4 or 4441, so you need to decide that which model will have to be taken because with the cost side as well. Okay, so um, this will help you to take the decision of your like in a which model can be going with the organization point of view as well. So you, as you are the AI developer, you need to identify that okay which foundation model can be integrated with this evaluation process as well, because sometimes when you are choosing these foundation models, so it might be you will see like if you go with the cheaper best foundation model, so you won't get the as expected results as well. Sometimes the results will be hallucinations because those foundation which is not well trained, okay, which is not trained with the data which we see that the other models like which is the cost effective models as well. So we need to see that which model with along with the consistent results, and we need to decide as well like choosing the right foundation models as well, and you need to tell that you need to justify that this kind of foundation model will be helpful for our creating the LLM solution. Okay, so this is where we see the LLM system as well. Yeah. Coming to that, common type of evaluations as discussing, one is the hallucinations. So hallucinations which can be controlled with the prompt template itself, like as we seen that. Next, the retrieval relevance, like in a retrieval relevance is considered you are building the RAG retrieval augmented system. So when the LLMs is trying to take off some decision or trying to take off some action, so it's all about based on the context, because if I'm as a customer, if I'm looking for where is my product, like and what is the status of my product, so like if the product is shipped, then there will be the some tracking ID, and we will be having the some kind of informations, right? That is the kind of retrieval relevance. So whether we are getting to the right relevance information, if I wanted to see the shipment track. Okay, instead of that, if it is providing the shipment detail, then there is no point of the relevance information, right? As I'm customer, I'm looking at the where is my that shipment, where is my product. Okay, then it should has to provide the details of the the product is already have shipped, it will be delivered by next 3 days or 4 days, based on the backend, based on the kind of the which we have configured, or which we already know that the distant to distant the delivery times will be, with, which will know the information. So this is where we call as a retrieval relevance. So how accurately our retrieval system surfaces the kind of context or document information for the particular user query. Next, question and answers as an retrieval data. So as I'm saying that if the relevance data is not clear, then how we could be expect that the LLM output response will be rightly addressed to the particular question. This is where the question and answer and the retrieval data will come. So if the retrieval relevance is not provided the sufficient information, or non-clear, not is in a contextually it is not aligned, then the entire the produced response will be it will be misaligned. So next is the toxicity. What is this toxicity? Which is a kind of harmful information or offensive. Like, you are asking for some kind of a, I want this kind of, the kind of things or knives or something, or like you are like in a kind of, of, the words which you are using. So these words also which will be tracked by these foundation models when they are trained these foundation models, like in a Google or Amazon or some other cloud providers, where they have given some specific instructions. When they see these words, this should be responded by the, it is an offensive information, right? It is an harmful response, okay, harmful information. So LLMs will directly reject this particular query, and it will provide the response of this is an harmful offensive information. Okay, so this is a kind of one thing which has to be handled as well. Okay, and next is the summarization performance. So summarization performance also will play the one of the key role, where so how our entire the information coherently accurated, like in accurated this information, like in a summarizing the information from the source content, or if it is an if the summarization is not performed as expectedly with the multiple, because when you're working with the kind of, the RAG based solutions, so each and every chunk they have the limitations, because the LLMs can handle some specific token limit only. 8192 token limits only it can be handled. What is token? Token is nothing but the words, number of words. So if it is crosses more number of words, then the information will be break up, right? So this is where it has to be combined, it has to be handled for the larger tokens as well, for the larger output response as well. So it should, inside the agents, it collect the, each agent will be collected from the one chunk. So each chunk will having a 8000 words, means like, there are six agents, 6 into 8, like 48 words which is combined. So with this 48,000 words which has to combined by the router, and it has to be given the within the 8196 token limit, where the users can get the complete information. So that's where we see the summarization performance as well. Along with that, while it is performing the summarization, one more evaluation will be happened with the core writing correctness and readability, because sometimes the information, the context, the words which are providing from the context, the similar words we are expecting from the LLM range. We don't want to refresh, because, for example, if you are working for the clinician data or like in healthcare information, so you will be expect the response should be the similar word itself, the same word itself. Okay, it's not kind of the similar, or it's not kind of the some the similar context of the word. So you need to be have a stick to the similar word what we have, the same word which is having in the our context. It should not map with the some other contextually to the another word. So this is where the core writing and correctness and readability will be comes into the picture, because if that word will be different, the entire the meaning of the information will be changes. Okay, so it will be very crucial for some banking industries and health industry for maintaining the readability and correctness of the word as well. So these are the common types we use this evaluation for this system. There are other ways also we have. So I'm going to show you in the upcoming slide as well. So to we as we have understood, these are the kind of evaluations metrics will be there, right? So now how will we do the testing side as well? So we need to understood, right, to identify, to evaluating this all the kind of six items which we are identifying. Then how do we identify that in which step which is causing the issue, right? This is where the testing picture will be come up here. Generally, as we are the software engineer, we know the traditional based approach as where will be where the created functions which will be written as some test cases. And for the test cases, we know that if we are for this particular input, what kind of the response has to be responded by this function. So you will be provided some test case scenarios, like as an unit testing or functional testing, which you are going to develop, and you are going to test the software application. This is where called the unit testing and integration testing in the traditional side. But when comes to the LLMs as in a testing procedure, as you are the AI developer, here it plays a crucial. It's not like general testing what we did in the earlier. It is in a kind of different, because each time when you run, okay, because for every time when you execute the query for the LLMs, the output should be the consistency. Okay, so if your same question, if you pass 10 times also, the expected output should be expected output should be the same itself. But sometimes the output won't be the same. This is where we call as a regression testing. We call in the LLM, we call it a regression testing. Regression testing is nothing but the same question you are going to hit that 10 times or 20 times. So you will be expected the same answer should be presented for 20 times. Okay, here, because why I'm saying the regression testing is a crucial play here. In the traditional software applications, traditional programs, you know the functions because you have designed the logically in the specific to that. So whenever it will respond, it will get the request for the particular thing, so it will act the same answer as for the logic which we designed. But in the LLMs, we are designing the logic, but it is completely controlled by the foundation models, which is not trained by us, which is learned by the billions of the data, which is a structured and unstructured data information. Okay, so then you might see this kind of different answers when you are hitting the same question 100 times. So this is where uh, the kind of regression testing will be plays a crucial role for as an AI developer or as a prompt engineer, which you need to do that. Whenever you create the prompt, you are going to test that prompt like in a minimum 10 to 20 times, as you are going to tell that this is a regression test. I can say that my prompt with these foundation models, which is working as expectedly. Okay, that is we call as a non-deterministic nature of LLM, and the task responsiveness as well. So because when you're working with that, focusing on the testing, you need to see that the particular information is accurate or not as well. So that is also which need to be verified by the task responsiveness in the testing, and the quality of the output as well, like in how much time it is taking, like in what was the expected time for this work, along with that whether we are getting the relevance information or not. Okay, so the quality of the output also which we are going to handle with that. So these are the kind of testing scenarios which we are going to perform in the LLM side. Okay, not with the general unit testing or integration testing which we will design and we can utilize. This is a completely different approach for you to find out how your LLM is working as expectedly. Okay, I think this is so. For example, why I'm saying this LLM's behavior or the agent should be evaluated properly. So you have created a tool, a agent, AI tool, which is designed with the multiple agents. Okay, so now what you do, as you are the business stakeholder, you have created like a make my trip application, where entire the process, where whenever the users coming to the particular platform, so instead of like everything, instead of like just there will be the one simple chatbot system in the right hand side. If the users type the day, can you book the flight for my San Francisco? Okay, so then it will take the relevant information, it will has to book the flight for you. Okay, this is the idea of the business use case. Okay, so entire the process what it do backend, so each agent will be connected with the another agent, the router will be connected with the one specific skill set of the other REST APIs, like in a, so it has to find out which is the cheap and best the flight cost as well, right? So what it do, it will find out the various the kind of aeroplanes, and it will book your ticket for you. Okay, now that is where here comes here. So figure out which to call. So it is choosing the right agent, this tool. Along with that, it should be searched with the API, as we see in the India, like in a Air India and Indigo and kind of Vistara and Star here. There are multiple the platforms which they have, which we have, and even we have some third party platforms as well, right, where we can directly book the flights as well. So similarly, what we do, as soon as we receive the request, so it will connect it to the all the platforms, all the air platforms, air companies, and it will see that okay, for this particular location which is the airline industry which is providing the better cost, because this is what the people will expect, right? As an user point of view, if I see that if I coming to this XYZ tool, okay, this will provide me the best and accurate price for my flight ticket. So where these particular platforms will connect it with the multiple companies, so it will find out the best the flight within your timeline, within your budget, then it will book the flight. Okay, this is what the picture of your the evaluation. So when it is like, and if it is booked, everything is properly as for San Francisco and the date of 20 July, so you are going to book that, okay, with this date. So it will take up the user query, it will find out the right API call, and it will find out the like in which are the airline industries which is providing the service for these particular locations, which will take out these details in the search API. Then it will find out the context. Okay, so what are the list of information is there? Context is nothing but the date or the kind of your specific times and number of adults or number of like the passenger you wanted to, everything which will be decided by the context, and then it will generate the construct and it will provide the correctness of that. Okay, these are all the steps will be the kind of flow based approach which will be happened. Okay, now if everything is goes good, this is well and good. Okay, so what if case when the user is requested for the San Francisco, but your agent has picked up, your agent has chosen the place as San Diego. Okay, instead of San Francisco, it is selected as San Diego. So now entire the process, which is completely incorrect, which is completely provide the incorrected information. So, okay, it's completely messed up. So what will happen as in a user, as we are the users, if the bot or if the agents are behaving in this particular platform, will you go to the particular website again? We won't go. We'll choose for some other the better the business the applications, and we'll choose that and we'll book the accordingly our flights or according to our information. So now as if you are handling this particular the website or handling your particular your business, so it will be the kind of one customer which is losing your thing. So means if you're losing the customers, it is obviously effect for your economical as well as your business also, it will be impacted with that. Okay, so this is where when you are launching any AI applications or any agentic application, should be evaluated with all the edge scenarios as well. So this is where the things will come, how you are confident about your agentic your systems, because you can say that, right? Because many of the people like, I want to book, you come into the flight, just you tell us like in a, just as in a human query, at just you can simply you can talk with our bot system, where our system will help you to book flight or book your restaurant with a simple kind of words or like a simple kind of interactions with the 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, this is where the people want it to be more easier. So this is the AI systems which will help us to create these applications to make them to address their the customer queries. Okay, either for booking the flights or booking the hotels or booking for other like addressing the customer issues for their products, and everything will be there. So this is where like the issue with the word which will causes entire the kind of incorrect response, like tool selection evaluation calls the wrong tool, which will mislead that instead of San Francisco, where it is picked up San Diego. And search API, it should be construct the search incorrectly, because incorrectly searched which is happened, so the word which is not mapped properly, so that is the construction which is incorrected, so we got into the some other different place. So this is where the use context which is went off wrong, and the tone evaluation could be jailbroken or like inappropriate information, we can say that. Okay, so entire combination of these informations which makes the users to unhappy, so that users they will you will be the business team will be going to lose these customers. Okay, so how will you judge as LLM? So how do you overcome this issue? How do you overcome this is because see, for every time there will be no person who can monitor for like this particular users, right? So if your organization where is supporting for global level, there are like millions of customers you are utilizing your product. So for example, consider the Amazon itself, like they have a global level e-commerce industry where they are providing the products for entire the global, right? So it is a very difficulty to track each and every customers, like what type of the products which is happening. Everything will be systematically organized, but even it is a very difficulty sometimes you to get the solution from that. So this is where intelligently which you need to behavior, like when the agents are providing the response, okay, this response should be evaluated by the LLM itself. So firstly, we are saying that the initial response also which is generated by the foundation models, and again the generated information also which is validated by the foundation models as well. This is we call as a LLM as a judge. Okay, LLM as a judge. So for example, how it will be there, I will show you. Yeah, this is a perfect example. So if you see here, because the similar, this is we call as a LLM as a judge, which we have implemented, and we have seen that the accuracy important improvement as well. 1 second. Yeah, perfect. So as you see here, yeah, okay, this is the prompt as a contextually. Yeah, so this is the extraction results. Okay, initially when the LLM has provided here, okay, this is for the healthcare industry, where LLMs has provided initial foundation models has provided the this particular information I'm identifying with this non-small cell lung. Okay, and other information which is provided by the unavailable. Okay, and it is saying that 0 point, that is a 90% confidence, and initially I'm saying that this is accurate. But as I told you that in the real time sometimes which will provide the incorrected information as well. So that should be tracked, and everything information should be re-evaluated, right? So that is where we call as a LLM as a judge. So what we do here, LLM as judge can be designed with this prompt, which you can see that. So LLM as a judge, how it will work. So if you are getting of this response, so on what basis, how you are decide that this extracted information is accurate? Either textual evidence score. Textual evidence means this particular information, non-small cell lung cancer, which is presented in the provided input text or not, or provided the context or not, the extracted context information, extracted data source information, these particular words are presented or not. This is we call as a text evidence score. Okay, another one is a context reliability score. So how contextually, which is saying that this is the right word information, and completeness of the score, and the ambiguity check, and domain relevance score, and final score. So by combining of all these 5 metrics, which we can say that this is the final score. For example, yeah, yeah, this is where the confidence scores will come. Okay, LLM as a judge, which will be combination of textual evidence and contextual, because as I'm saying that initial LLMs which is given instead of San Francisco, which is given by San Diego, right? So here which is incorrectly picked up, this is where we are verifying that we are going to align with the textual evidence as well. So with the input and the extracted context information which is accurately, which is mapping or not, that is we call the text evidence as well, from the input side and the contextual side, which is generated by the initial LLM. Okay, and the context reliability and completeness and syntactical accuracy and ambiguity handling, with all the 6 components which we are going to handle here. Okay, so for getting of the LLM as a judge. So I'm going back to here. Okay, so all the information, the kind of components which we have discussed in the PPT, this is where we have designing in the Crow. Okay, and even we are telling that provide the justification as a description, saying that to summarize the correctness and completeness of ambiguity accepts the avoiding detailed breakdowns. Okay, now if you see, this is the extracted results of the initial LLM, and this is the context, the input context of getting of this information. This has been taken from this input text itself. So we are passing these two information to the model, and we are getting of the LLM as a jet. So we are keeping as LLM as a jet as an evaluation metric to identify that, okay, if all this information is presented, you provide me as a final score here. Because if you see that a extracted term, gastric ulcer is correctly identified from the medical history section with the proper context and formatting itself with the R score. Okay, so then you can say that this is very confidence, right? So, and you can see that here some the 4 score which is came because start date which is not present because month and year will be there, right? So here there is only the year which is provided in the data. So there is no NA. Is an NA? It's not a standard data type. So we are constructing the standard data in format. So this is where which is saying that some I see that some incorrect information means the year is presented, but the month and date is not presented. This, and you can see that I will show you some incorrect information so that you will be having a much more clarity as LLM jets how it works as well. 1 second. Yeah, here itself we can see. Yeah. So if you yeah, you can see the enhanced score is 0 to 1 to 5, right? So you can see that 0 1 4 the same medical history. So you can see that here it is extracted incorrected. So if you see the initial LLM which is given as a 90% confidence score, so we are kept as a one more layer as a LLM evaluator. So whenever you provide the response to the user query, that should be rooted with the LLM as a judge skill set, LLM as a skills agent, so that it will validate the response of the previously generated LLMs. Okay, previously generated foundation models. Also, we can say that. See, you can see that incorrectly extracted from this AV mobility or type 1 art block on ECG from the adverse event section rather than from the medical history section. It is picked from the other different sections. So this is where the issue which is caused. So that's why I'm giving up, even though initially the LLM score which has been given of the 90%, but the final score, this is the LLM jet score which is given of only 1, which is a very low score. So this is where we can take up this LLM as a jet to control the incorrect information of the agentic AI framework, agentic AI solutions. Okay, agentic AI applications, we can say that. So you can see that sometimes 0 also. Hey, this is completely critical. A date of birth was incorrectly extracted from the medical history event. Here, medical history start date. This is a medical history start date, but it is picked up as from the date of patient date of birth section. That is completely incorrect, right? When the medical procedure is started, that is we call as a medical start date, but it is extracted as a from the patient birth. So this is where something which we do in the real time, which we use this kind of LLM-as-a-Judge. The information which you are seeing, this is a real time analysis which we are doing on that, where we have deployed our applications, which we are validating with this which we are validating with this LLM as a judge based approaches with the various kind of techniques which we are trying to use. Okay, with the code based tools also, one more techniques which we are going to see now. The entire information which we are seeing, LLM as a judge. Okay, now if I make to the score to the 5, which you can see that correctly returned unavailable or correctly extracted these informations, everything. Okay, so it is from the clinical trial which is supposed to be extract. So everything which is extracted the correctly information. So everything which you can see that. Okay, so this is how we use the LLM as a judge, which raw code which you can see that for your the POC which I worked earlier to implement these solutions and everything. You can see the final score, completeness score also, which is the very we got 3. So we are going to take the overall score here. Okay, so this is what could wrong, like if we can see that. So as a LLM as a judge, which is going to be decided here. Okay, so which with this LLM evaluator, okay, will be improve your business as well, because if there is no evaluation solution for your application, then it will be very difficult to you to handle the your business sometimes, because we won't be having a handleness, right? So sometimes the hallucinations will happen from this foundation model. So it should be evaluated. Okay, it should be in our control now. So that's where the judge LLM as a judge kind of functionality which will be implemented by us. Okay, and one more the challenge is that, as I told you that So as you are improving some of the techniques, so then what we do, we'll do the sum of the changes, right? Like in the prompt, like in as you see in the prompt, where we do the sum of the changes in the prompt template also, which will leads to the incorrect results as well. So because whenever you are going to use that, like in the prompt which we have seen just now, so you can see that you can just imagine the prompt thing which I have designed here, how bigger it is. See, you can say that. So it should be handled for all my instructions, right? So how it should be validate, how it should be the weights, the score has to be provided here, each and every kind of instructions which need to be provided by us. Okay, now just imagine if I, instead of like in a final score capped at 1, if I make if I rephrased with the some other, then my the final output response of the my LLM will also will affect as well. Means we cannot say that it will be effective. So we need to test it again. We need to redo the testing. So which is working everything as expectedly, or like in as good. Okay, it's in a kind of changing of 1 or 2 lines, or it's changing of some few words also, which will we have to re-verify the performance of the our LLM as well. Okay, because once if one of the use case if it is not worked, then entire our performance will be goes down. Okay, so we should be very careful, as you are the prompt engineer or AI engineer, you should be very careful about this all issues. Okay, so this is the kind of the prompt challenges, okay, where you need to handle for your file developing the agentic applications. Okay, so now how do we development, like, and you see that, okay, now everything you have developed and everything which is well and good. So initially, before you are going to deploy into the production, first it will goes into the developer, like an as a dev environment, then it will go to the QA, from the QA it will go to the UAT, user acceptance test. Okay, then from there it will be released to the production environment. So this is all the step by step process which will go. So as in the initial development, where you are going to uh, run your the program, like as you see in the code level here, so where I have created my all the functionalities. So as you see here, this is the HR based use case. Okay, this HR based use case will try to address, there are 8 departments of categories, like tax deduction issues, missing incorrect payments or payslip explanations, or benefit changes. Okay, each and every category will have their own challenges, like an own kind of solution informations. Okay, now if you see here, as I told you that here I've used the LangGraph as to implement this solution. Okay, for front end, for demonstration purpose, I'm used the Streamlit application here. Okay, to see that as your POC, it is as you're performing, you're trying to present with your business stakeholders. So it's good to show with them what they are going to show in the end user perspective. So in end user, if you see that, hey, my tax deducted high for this month, so it is comes into the tax deduction issues. Okay, now I'll see that what is a maternity leave policy. Okay, because in maternity leave policy they will be going to get some benefits, right? So that will be the benefit categories or policy clarification, maternity leave policy and everything. Okay, so this is how confidence you are saying and everything. Okay, so here you are going to see this is the router. Okay, router where you will be having the Azure chart open GPT-4 here, and I will show you the router here. These are all the agent that is we call as a skill set. Okay, so here is the router. Okay, the router will decide the state graph. Okay, so each so router will be connected to the different skill set. So here skill set we call as a add node. Add node is nothing but the object which will be called as a skill set. Okay, so intake, category, resolution, display results, and everything as a one skill set here. Okay, so all this skill set which will be configured to the object as a builder. Okay, this is we call as a root node here. So will be combined all together. This is where we are going to combine here. Okay, this is how we'll develop, okay, with the one router and with the memory states and with the all the skill sets. Okay, so each and every skill set will have in the here information. And you can see here there are other components also. Okay, so here you can see that these are the kind of ticket resolution management system. Okay, you are having some ticket resolution management. So what are the kind of troubleshooting, prior classifications agents, and everything will be integrated here. You are a ticket routing AI based on the user query, so it should be redirected to this particular department or particular agent, so where they will provide the information. Because if I'm looking for the general support, if I connecting to the technical team, there will be no point, right? So if there is in a general query, so this is where each and every agent will work on the some specific problems here. Okay, generate ticket number and the create agent wrapped, which you can see here. See state graph, so which will design that this is a root node. Okay, so each and every agent which will be configured here. Okay, how this agents has to be picked up and everything. Okay, this is something which you are going to learn with once you join with the KKR team, like where we are going to show you the real time how you are going to develop your use cases and how you're going to deploy and everything, which we are going to teach you and us. Okay, so now, as you see the development, as you see in the application side as well here, so this is how it will looks in the real time. But in the in we can show them, we can design more the beautifier as well, like in where the front end team will be taken care, and every code will be handled with the REST API. The REST API is nothing but we are going to use Fast API or Flask or Django. So will be component of that. So that API will be utilized in the end user. Okay, that API will be produced to the provided to the front end team, where they are going to utilize that. Okay, so now coming to here, so this is where development and productions we see. So here one more interesting word we see, the traces, right? So what is mean by traces? Okay, what is traces and how it will be helpful for the as a LLM engineer or as a prompt engineer. Okay, so before we are jumping to the code, so as I told you that one of the evaluate metric we have seen as a LLM as a judge evaluation, right? What is another evaluation technique we are going to use? We are going to use a code based evaluation. So generated code is like in what is code based evaluation is nothing but we the generated information which is going to compared with the ground truth data. So that is the completely stating that the if you have for this particular field, so if you see this is the ground truth value and this is the LLM extracted value, which is correctly mapping or not. This is the code level based. We are going to map with that. Okay, string to string map. Okay, if this both are matched, then we are going to create a one more column or one more feature as a match flag saying that zero. Okay, so you can see that clearly. Okay, so this is we call as a code based evaluation. Okay, so there is a one program which I have written by myself to evaluate this information. Yeah, here you can see. Yeah, this is where you can see that the code which is going to be code based evaluation to mapping of all these the results. Okay, if it is map, it is going to, if it is match, it is going to give the one, if not it's zero. Okay, and there will be the some other techniques also which will be utilized. Okay, it's not always, it's kind of the state word, right? Sometimes that word will be the syntactically will be the sometimes the words will be come up because if the information itself it is an incorrect, so that also could be handled here. So this is where the syntactical approach which will comes here. It is a little smaller and you can see that now. Okay, see Levienstein and cosine similarity, Jaro Winkler, Jacquard, Fuzzy Wuzzy. So all these various performance which will be utilized for code based level as well. Okay, where syntactical and semantic approach will come. Okay, semantic which is more like in a contextually, when there is some spell mistakes and everything will be there, then syntactically which will be helpful for to evaluate. So this is how it will be there. So there is a nausea which is there. Okay, spelling errors which not be recorded by the syntactical matching. Okay, so this can be mapped with the syntactical is with the semantically which cannot be identified any spelling errors or some kind of information. So with the syntactically we can able to handle. Here you can see that swelling of tongue, that is an incorrect spelling. Okay, and tingling the lips, which is there. Actual word is tingling lips. So this is a kind of with the syntactically which can be handled here. Okay, this is how which can be handled with the code based evaluation. I hope you people are getting about how to evaluate the LLMs as well, because developing the LLMs which we have seen now, because evaluating the agents will be the crucial part for you to be as an AI developer. Okay, so because that's where you will tell that your the business the application which is working with a 99% of accuracy, which is very intelligent application which you can say in the market. That's where you will be get the business from the market side, right? So with the kind of showing them that how our agents are deciding this particular user query, and it is giving of the response with this all the various techniques. So this will make you to the game changer for your business requirement. Okay, so whenever you develop, so you need to consider that. So with the evaluation steps, everything which has to be added to your model, so that you can tell that, okay, even if your manager or if your teammates or if someone is asking for you to, like, and how you are telling that this LLM response is accurately because I have done this XYZ. So we can say that I can say that this is a confidence because I have the ground truth data which I have validated. This is where the people shows the interest, right? Telling of some numbers like in a randomly which does not feel them confidently when you are presenting or when you're telling this, your agent is more powerful. Okay, so you should have to tell them, okay, I've tested with my ground truth data, this is what I results which I've seen with this approach. Okay, so I can confidently say that my application is more intelligent. Okay, this is how we show them, this is how uh, we tell to the business team as well, showing of this example with this percentage with the how matches improved and everything which can be told here. Okay, so this is about these LLMs. Now we'll see that how do we deploy. Okay, so everything we have seen, that everything we have developed and everything. Now we have the deployment part. Okay, where we use the LangGraph. Okay, so in the LangGraph, one second, so we are going to use the LangGraph to monitor our applications. Okay, so here you can see that as soon as we receive the request, okay, as soon as we receive the request, we are going to see that, okay, each and every agent, see here you can see that there will be the multiple agents which is connected to here. Okay, so one is for the OCR and another one that from the results which is passed to the LLMs, and the LLMs will be decided for these sections and it will generate the information which you can see that this is a text. So what type of the input text which is passed for that particular agent, and what is the output response also which is received, everything which can be captured with this monitoring tool with the LangFuse. Okay, and you can see the output response as well. So with this which you are going to trace your details, if the any information, if this particular agent is not working, so from by coming of this monitoring tool which will help us to with this trace IDs. Okay, each and every trace ID will be having the one unique request. Okay, this is we call as a traces. Okay, so every time we receive the information request, so one new trace ID will be generated in the LangFuse, and with this LangFuse we can look at it completely from end-to-end process with the token cost and with the number of the agents which is triggered and everything, which you can see the cost and everything. Okay, so this is where the something which you are going to do that, and all the prompts also which can be integrated with this prompt tab only. Okay, and along with that, if you wanted to give some user provide access, so you can give to your users. In the users you will be having a specified people who can utilize. So okay, this is the real-time dashboard which I'm trying to show you. Okay, so I am not going to click the users and everything due to the security breaches, I cannot. So just to see everything, the response and everything, preview, yeah, this is where you can see that. Okay, so this is about the monitoring tools, and coming to here, this is about the deployment tools. Okay, where we completely developed with the CI/CD pipelines, okay, which has been created with the AML files. So these AML files, which will be completely have the information of these tools, okay, directly connecting to the AWS platforms or like in a Google GCP platforms, then it will auto authenticate it with the tokens, bearer tokens, and then it will choose the specified servers and it will go with that, okay. So where you can see the step by step how it is running, build and test and everything, so how much time it is taking and what action is happening, everything which can be monitored by here, okay. So this is how we generally work with the thing here, okay, deploy and test and build and test, okay. As you can see all the performance jobs, okay. So ECR image and everything which can be shown seen here, okay. So where you will be having the actions, within the actions where you are going to trigger your jobs, so these are all the triggering mechanism, okay. And this is how we'll maintain the documents and we'll prepare our LLM evaluations and matching some kind of interesting things which we are going to work with that, okay. So each and everything will be available here from the GitHub actions which we are going to see that. So this is how like in the data which we have seen that in the Excel, which is we can see that the LLM-as-a-Judge as well. This is for the session. I hope everything you got some idea about this one. If you have any the queries, please unmute yourself and you can talk to us.
Yeah, thank you, Master. Let me give unmute access to everyone. Yeah, I think please raise your hand and ask your questions once.
Hey, this is
Yeah.
Sridhar. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Right.
Okay. So, one question I was getting like when you're doing this. So, imagine like we take a model
Mm-hmm.
and we try to work for our requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do we have this learning thing happen? Like, for example, we have a specific set of requirements, like probably 50,
Mm-hmm.
60 of them.
Right.
So, how
So
do we get people to learn
yeah.
that process?
So when we are working with this specific requirement sets, because we already know that this specific requirement furnish some of this specific requirement will categorize, right? We'll group together, okay. Then we'll make a one agent where it should be focused for this particular 10 requirements one together as a short. Whenever we get kind of user query will be decided by the router and router will choose the particular skill set, because in skill set also we are going to clearly defined, okay, where how will we decide that which skill it has to picked by the router means. So here if you see here in my code, so we'll be going to add clear description here, the message content which you are saying, right? This is we call as a
Mm-hmm.
prompt description. So whenever the user we receive the query, so from the user query the router will pick from the description, okay, in this prompt description or in the prompt template, these are the kind of issues which we are trying to address. So then as for the query I need to map with this particular agent, then I'll get the solutions, okay. Like you will be going to build multiple agents together, so then router will be decided. So and while you are creating the agent you should be clearly provide your instructions, okay. So the instruction as much as clear in your instruction you will get the right results for the final response actually. So you can build n number of agents, so it's not like limited for 60. Sometimes you may need to work for more than 100 the queries as well, so there you need to work for individual agents as well. So each agent will be hacked like in a one problems of one solution for the problem, okay. So you can build it, just you need to simply connect it with the root node has a bottom which I've shown you here. This is how you're going to do that, like in here one node which I've added here. If you see here there are
Yeah.
10 users which is adding, so like that you can add n number of. So that's where, as I told you, from the beginning, when you are going to work with the complex problem, okay, for the complex such solutions where you are expecting for the bigger solution, then you need to go with the LangGraph, where it will provide the flexibility for you to to make your customized application should be to be integrated. So the CrewAI and AutoGen, it won't for the larger applications. If you wanted to go more, the more functional level with your customized one for customized features, go with the LangGraph.
So for the scenarios, right? If we have like 50, 100 scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
do you have to build all of them into this?
Why? Like, and if you can categorize them and make a, with the agents. See, if we required, we may need to create the agents, 60 agents also. If not, if we see that like in a similar kind of the queries are similar kind of, then we'll group together, and instead of like in a 10 questions, 10 queries is a one agent. So like that we can create the 6 agents, and it can be able to address. So you don't need to go for a 60 agents you to create.
Yeah, okay.
Because when we hire for in our organization also one engineer, so we look for who is having the skill set of the databases, and who is having the skill set of REST APIs or developmental or deployment, right? Like the similar way, we'll group of them and we'll make a one the superior agent, so that this agent will perform for 10 tasks. So like that we can reduce.
Ajay, you can proceed your question.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you elaborate a bit on the deployment side? So how your environment looks like? So do you prefer so in what scenario we deploy on-prem or on the cloud? Can you give a bit insights into this, please?
Sure, Rajay. See, it's an organization to organization. It vary. Okay, many of the people they go with the GitHub platforms where or like in a Bitbucket platforms where they can create the own AML files like in a which is in the JSON format. So and with the Docker images, okay, the purpose of Docker, and we utilize to control this all these applications with the full fledged. And so I will share my screen and I will show you more in detail. Just give me a moment. Yeah, can you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So if you see here, okay, sometimes it depends upon the organization to organization where they use. Uh, yeah, you can see that. Okay, so if you see here, then the Venkatesh, yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is a pipeline. See, we'll create the pipelines here. So these pipelines will be triggered with the AML files, the one which I told you. So this AML file, like, and as soon as you come here, so you have to click this more actions, where you will be having the option to rerun actually. Okay, so run new. If I click the run new, so you will be provide the option you to get the which branch from you to trigger. That is, you can select the branch and you can provide the information, and you can simply click on the run. Okay, so then the job will starts here. Okay, job will starts and it will deploy to your it will point it to your specific cloud environment. It's based upon the organization to organization, as I'm showing for this Azure based platform, Azure services. So it is pointed to the Azure as a service, and it will deploy this information. So what it do, so if I run this particular pipeline, okay, it do the chunking strategy. Okay, so what we do, this particular pipeline, I will tell you. So it will collect the codings, the complete Python files, and it will break the information, because as I told you in the LLMs are having only the token limits, which is in the 8196. Okay, So when you are working for the more than 8196, it won't be support. Okay, so this is where we call as a Azure open search index, where whenever you are building RAG based applications, you will be having a contextual information, right? So that contextual information will be maintained by this Azure OpenAI index, like in Azure, which is we are using because of Azure. If it is an Amazon um, OpenAI platform also, which is that similar like what we are seeing here. So if I go with here, okay, you can see the number of documents and everything. So what it do, it will break the information. It will, if you have some 20 lines of the words, 20,000 words, it will break to the multiple words with the limit of 8,000 tokens, 8,000 as a words, and it will append to here. So whenever we request the LLM, before that LLM response, what it do, it will point to the one agent will be pointed to the knowledge mining source. That is where which you are seeing this index platform, and it will retrieve the relevant context for the particular question. So if you see here, so this is where we see the data. Okay, this will having the complete data which is searching in the internal context information. Okay, so now if you wanted to filter here something, you can come back here. Here it is in a select, actually it is not search. Yeah, it is giving the chunk only. If you see that, if you want some other, okay, so this is the pipeline. See, once you trigger the pipeline, entire the thing it will come here, and it will it will store here. Otherwise, what will happen, every time you need to go manually and you need to upload the information line by line, like an token by token. It will be the very difficult, right, for you to do that. This is what it do. This is one type of job which I'm saying that not only like in the knowledge mining, even it will deploy your applications as well. It is in a comma here. Okay. So that particular chunk you are seeing, that particular chunk which is come from the which file and everything, which you can see that. Okay, so this is all about from this pipeline. So as soon as you trigger this pipeline, it will create the job, it will create your index here and everything, and it will save here. So that all the things will be maintained by this particular codes, which you can see that. So where you will be having the Docker files, which is will be created. Okay, which
Venkat,
kind
can you explain a little more one more time? I'm not clear on that. Like, can you
okay.
give some
So
path?
no problem, sure. See, in the Git which you are seeing that, right, in the pipeline, okay, the CI/CD pipeline which you are seeing here. So in order to run the job, what you do, so you will go back here, click on run new, and you're going to select the branch, because everyone, I hope everyone knows that why we use the GitHub, right, to maintain the code tracking and everything. So whenever we deploy in the productions, before going to the production, we will point to the dev and the QA, then we'll provide will launch to the productions. Okay, first we'll test it in the dev. Okay, it is by simply you need to change the branches, that's all. Okay, so from the dev we are going to select the branch, then you are going to provide that which is the use case which you need to trigger from the code. So these use cases will be provided in the environment template. Okay, where environment template you're having the complete configurations here. Okay, and from there it will be mapped with that particular information, and it will start the job. So this is where the job which you can see here. So where it will choose that particular use case, and it will deploy that into the Azure platform. Okay, to trigger and everything, which will be handled with the code, where you can see this AML files, which I told you, that AML file, right, project file, what to pick up and which environment which has to be deployed here. Okay, the environment configurations and everything which will be configured here. Okay, and these informations will be, again, it will interlinked with the Docker file as well, which you can see that what type of the software which has to be installed, because the Docker is kind of a virtual environment, right, where you can install your particular softwares, like, and it's kind of VMware. Okay, and this is the YAML files which you can see that clearly. PR, okay, all this. So this is the
basically you're building that in Azure and you're pulling the Docker locally onto your system and running
no,
this?
I'm first locally building. I'm locally building the code, and then I'm pushing to the GitHub. As you see that in my comments here, actually, I'll stop it here. So as soon as I completed locally changes, so I will push to the Git repo. So 1 second, let me stop the service so that you can see. Yeah. So can you see here the comments, below comments, git push, git comment and everything from the locally which I'm pushing. So it will be saved here. So you can see that git status. Okay, everything is clear. Okay, git branch, you can see that. Okay, so list of branches. So all the branches will be displayed here. So as soon as I provided here, so that code will be presented in this the GitHub, like in the DAO Azure. So some of the companies, they won't use directly GitHub account. Okay, so they wanted to with the inside the Azure, we have the Git repository platform as well. That is we call as a Azure DevOps. Okay, similarly like GitHub we use the DAO Azure DevOps platform. Okay, so as soon as you push the code, which you can see that, so those changes will be come up here. So everything like in ventilations, everything which is there. Okay.
Yeah, I got that one. I understood that. Yeah. Basically,
Yeah,
you're pushing
then
to the yeah.
So from here we are going to raise, and this will be connected to this YAML files, and then it will be stored there. Actually.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to KKR Gen AI Innovations channel.